Welcome to Mike's apartment, where we review drinks and have a little bit of comedy along the way. I'm your host. My name is Mike. With me is my co-host, Thom. Thom, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good, except I kind of feel like somebody might have shook me all night long. I don't know.
I was going to. Too much alternating current
Yeah,
and direct current.
or direct current.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so tonight we are reviewing Sam Adams' Boston Lager. We're going to talk about historical accuracy in movies and why we don't care about it. And then, or why we do care about it. And then we're going to talk about everyone's extremely favorite, extremely historically inaccurate movie, Braveheart. So I guess before we get going too far, I guess we'll open these
Crack
up,
these open.
crack these open. You may need a bottle opener, unless you have thumbs of steel. um,
Okay, so are we gonna do the smell thing first, or
with beer, I'm not sure that it matters, but we can kind of smell. Yeah, it definitely has a smell to it. It
bit of an
doesn't.
aroma?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but here's a. All right, let's just say here's to 1776.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Mm. It's all right. I mean,
Not as bad as I thought it might be. I
now,
might be able to drink this.
mm, it's. It says it's a lager, but to me, it tastes kind of like a stout. There's like a creaminess,
Oh,
but also a smoky. There's kind of a smoky kind of like, or a burnt, maybe a burnt,
I'm
kind
not
of a
sure
burnt.
about that aftertaste. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of. It reminds me of a stout more. You're right. It's like a burnt kind of flavor, like a burning or like a not a burning, but a burnt. It's definitely like a burnt, like aftertaste. I don't know. I don't
This
mind
is
it.
definitely something you want to drink cold.
Yeah, mine is cold. Um. So
This
yeah.
was mine.
So we'll talk about the rating
No.
system, but we'll give it a minute. So the rating system on Mike's apartment is five. Five is ambrosia. Five's the best of the best. Zero. Zero is shit. It's the worst of the worst. We won't rate them. We'll give it a second. Let's. We are going to talk about our serious topic, which is just, I guess, historical accurateness. Accurate. Well, let me just say accuracy.
Accuracy.
Let me not completely be drunk here, but yeah, historical accuracy in. Let's just talk about films specifically or movies. Um, and does it matter? Does it not matter? What do you think, Tom? What?
Well, I think it depends on what the intention is. We'll talk about Braveheart specifically a little bit later, but uh, you know, uh, like if you want to present
Excuse me.
things like a historical, thing that happened, you know, so let's say like Mel Gibson's other movie, like Passion of the Christ. I guess
Sure.
with like the crucifixion, they try. It's been ages since I've seen that movie. I think I saw it when it first came out, and
I
that
I
was
think
it.
I've only seen it in the.
But
I've seen it in the theater once, and that's
yeah, I
it.
saw it in
So
the theater, and I might have seen it once at home.
I like Jim. What's his
So
name? Jim Kev.
Caviezel or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He was also in Person of Interest, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's a good
And
act.
then
He's
he
a
was
pretty good
also in
actor.
like 28 Days Later, wasn't
Oh
he?
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah,
something?
yeah. He's a
Yeah.
good actor. Yeah, but
But
anyways,
so they, I think, I don't know, I don't remember how accurate to the historical, events or whatever as that movie kept, but they tried to be pretty accurate, or at least maybe not 100% accurate with the crucifixion stuff. Um, I know with Braveheart they had the drawn and quartered and disemboweling scene at the end, which was like pretty PG-13 compared to what actually happened, and we can talk about that later. But
oh, and
but
and
I think it depends on what your intentions are. If you want to present something as historically accurate, then try to be historically accurate. And maybe if you have to tone something down, then just maybe draw attention to that, maybe in like some kind of comments or
well,
But
if it gets in the way of like the story though, like the storytelling, and the
yeah,
thing is this. Here's the other thing too. how
Well, that's when
many
you say based on true
Well,
events.
exactly. But how many? Well, let's ask this question though. How many dumbass like high school kids watched that movie and then wrote a paper for their history teacher citing
Yeah,
Braveheart? You know how many people get slapped down if you're a history teacher? They're like,
I did some
this
kind of
is
like
not
that.
historical.
I, I did some kind of like that in high school.
Did you?
So I was it. I don't think it was a White Fang. Was that a book or something
Yeah,
before it was a
Jack
movie?
Jack London wrote it. Yeah.
Jack London. Okay, so
I don't think it
I
was. It
remember
was
I had
based
an.
on his. I think that was based on his. He
Mhm,
actually lived that, so I think that was
yeah.
somewhat accurate.
Well, I I don't remember the exact details. This was ninth grade, so this is
hmm
probably around like 1992 or three. So
Oh wow,
that's like
you are older
30
than me.
plus years ago. But anyways, I remember I think I chose that one, and for I think as far as 'cause I talked about an event that happened, and I think what I did was I took that out of the story,
hmm
the part that I read, but then I kind of combined the movie and the book because I was a slow reader, and I was too interested in doing other things, and so reading wasn't my strong suit. I was good at reading. It's just sitting down to read anything longer than a couple, 2, 3 pages.
You were like,
Was
my mama told me I'm a good reader. Is that what you said? I'm a good reader. GUD.
no,
Emphasis.
no, no. I was more like, Mama said that alligators are all
Okay.
angry because they got all them teeth, and then whatever the rest of the
Yeah,
line
and then
was.
he, well, if that's what Mama says, and then he gets beat up.
No,
Yeah, I know
well, yeah,
how
no,
that's Waterboy. Let's be specific. We're talking about the
yeah,
movie
that was
Waterboy
Waterboy,
with Adam
and I
Sandler.
think
Yeah.
you were talking about the Tom Hanks Forrest
Oh
Gump,
yeah.
right? Is that what you were referencing?
Mama always said life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're
I
gonna
don't think I've
get.
seen that whole movie.
You haven't?
I wonder
Oh,
how
I
historically
think that's
accurate that one was.
I don't know, but I think it's not at
Mhm,
all. Not at all.
mhm.
Yeah, he was there at every scene in American history that was that no. I think it is based on a book, but I think it's not
Not a
accurate.
historical document.
I don't think they even try to remember because he made up shit. Remember he was running and he stepped in some dog shit or whatever, and he's like, shit, and he's like, it happens, and then someone's like, I'm gonna write that down and put it on a. Supposedly he, I mean, I don't know. Anyways, you got to
So that wasn't a historical document like the Galaxy Quest TV
no,
series was in the
no.
movie.
That was the most accurate.
Hey, based on recreated your ship based on your historical documents.
Well, you know what the worst part is?
But
You always have that one asshole in like a Star Trek or Star Wars like forum or Facebook group or whatever, and they're like, you know it. So like someone brings up some topic that they're really interested in, and then some asshole's like, you know it's a movie, right? And it's like, no, we all thought it was real. What? What are you serious right now? Yeah, people like
an
to argue.
asshole.
Yeah, well, people like to argue about stuff, very specific things in those movies, but I don't think anyone is thinking they're really real. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, sorry, that's a whole nother topic maybe, but we are talking about
Well,
historical
I
accuracy in
think
movies. If I can speak.
about that time, Mel Gibson was doing some other historical movies too. Like, wasn't The Patriot released around then?
So the Patriot was also so we for that specifically, it was so wrong. So
Was it?
we
I
well
don't
in
remember
high
much
school
about it.
we had a friend. He's still like our friend. I think he's still friends with me. Anyways, you saw him at the wedding, which we won't say whose wedding, but the wedding we were at, we saw him. He was the guy with
This
the
the Red Wedding?
no, the guy with the black shirt. You saw him. He had the card game that we played. But anyways, he actually went to high school or went to college, and his major was history, specifically American history, right? So when he was watching that movie like in front of us, he was like 17, 17, blah blah blah. He's like General Cornwallis was nowhere near Virginia. He was in Pennsylvania during. So no, the Patriots completely. He was
Yeah.
sitting there like, and he was pointing out like, he's like, that's not the uniform that they were wearing during that time. blah blah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like he because he went to college for it. He had his degree in history, specifically early American history. He was like the whole thing. He was like pointing out. He's like, I just remember the General Cornwallis thing. He's like, General Cornwallis was nowhere near Virginia during. It was like, oh my God, who would
They
know
did the
this?
same
Who
thing
would?
in Braveheart. I mean,
Well,
we'll talk about that later,
but yeah, that is like if you have your friend, your history major friend, and they watch a movie with you, you definitely get a different a sense of it. I would say
I
like it's like knowledge of it kind of ruins it for you because it takes you out of, you know what I mean? Like you can't really get in if you keep seeing all these
oh
discrepancies. It's hard to
yeah,
watch. The fourth wall
I
is broken, right? I mean, it's
I had a moment like that. Wonder Woman 1984. Now I
oh
know that that's a superhero movie, but it was set in 1984, and I remember there's a scene in Washington D.C. where they kind of had a wide shot, and you saw a Humvee drive by, and I was like, wait a minute. I Now at the time I was thinking Humvees weren't introduced until the Gulf War around 90, because that's
mhm,
when I remember starting to see them.
yeah,
But I think they were actually introduced into the military around 86 or 88. And I was like,
okay.
why would you put a Humvee in a movie set in 1984 versus like just a regular old Jeep? I mean, at least they got that right in Welcome to Derry when they were on the military base driving in a Jeep. If they would have had a Humvee back in the 60s,
Well, and I'm sure there's probably more, inaccuracies in Wonder Woman 1984. I will say they probably nailed the clothes though. It seems like the clothing and the music, they probably got like the cultural things right. They probably got everything else wrong, but
I think they got Princess Diana's armor right too. That gold armor that looks pretty accurate
yep,
for
ac-
1984.
accurate to the comic books.
Was it?
I don't
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I was happy to see Linda, what's her name, who played Wonder Woman in the
I
70s
don't
TV show or whatever.
I don't remember
She
her
she
name.
was in it, but she was in it at the end like a cameo
Well,
or
they
something.
got
Or was that?
they got the lasso of truth right?
Yeah. So,
um
but as far as I think back to kind of your point, like when it comes to making a movie, generally it's about being cinematic and stuff like that. So sometimes they got to make changes
yeah.
just because it looks better or
or
flows
or
better.
just the realities of making a movie
Yeah,
which is going to be very different from being historically accurate. I mean, the thing is
yeah,
this too, you could always go and well, I don't know, unless it's been completely defunded. You can always go back and watch like PBS or one of those other like the History Channel. Though I think the History Channel is mostly like Ancient Aliens now and crap like those. I don't know how accurate that is. The History Channel used to be really good, but now it's yeah. Or what's that? Oh God, what's that guy's name? He does like he's Kenneth. Is it Kenneth Burns or it's something like that? I'm probably wrong, but it's something like something Burns, and he's done like 140 narrations of like for the History Channel or something, and it's always like yes and blah 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 blah. But but historically accurate. God, what that movie with Matthew Broderick and Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman about the Civil War and the first. I mean, I'll say the first African American unit. They called it the first colored unit in the show.
I
What was that?
didn't see that one. I
God,
don't
what was
think.
that movie? It was really really good. Oh God, I can't. We're gonna have Tom. Go ahead and Google it, please. Look it up.
What
Si-
Skeeter says hi.
oh,
Well, you want to know the name of the movie?
yep. You do it. So Civil War movie with Matthew Broderick. It's like something. We have to because
Civil War movie with Matthew Broderick.
we've been criticized for not following up on some of the things that we say.
Glory,
Glory. Yep. It's an ex.
1989.
Yep, it's a great movie, and from what I hear, it's actually very historically accurate. So if you want to watch a Civil War movie, Glory is extremely, it's done well. And if you like Matthew
Was
Broderick, Denzel Washington, and Morgan Freeman, it's great. I mean,
Now there's another historical movie. I think it's World War II. George Lucas wrote it called Red Tails. Was that accurate?
I don't know. I don't think I've seen
I
that
think
one.
it's about the first African American unit to have like in the Air Force or something. I don't know if they were the first,
Oh,
but they.
Tuskegee?
I don't know.
the Tuskegee Airmen and how
I have I
they did
I
those
have no
experiments
idea.
on them. Yeah, they did. That's a real thing. The Tuskegee Airmen,
Well, I don't
they
know if they. I don't know about the movie. I've never seen
oh
the movie,
they
so I don't know if that's what it's based on, or if
I think they gave
I don't
them
know if
drugs and
George
shit. Yeah.
George Lucas maybe just
Oh.
kind of made his own story
Well,
because
he
we're saying that he didn't have enough diversity in his Star Wars in 1977. He's like, well,
Lando,
I had some of those, what I can't remember what race of people he mentioned. He's like, well, they're kind of dark.
Lando. No,
Yeah, and then they're like, you don't have any like strong women. He's like, what are you talking about? I got Princess
Leia.
Leia.
She
She's strong.
she she
She whipped
kissed her
everybody into shape.
she kissed her brother. I mean, God.
Which, by the way, I heard that at the time they made the movie, they didn't know they were going to be making any
No.
more,
Yeah.
and they didn't have it planned out, so they didn't know that they were brother and sister until later.
I mean,
Otherwise, I might not have put that in there. But
if there wasn't some incest, it just wouldn't have been the 80s. No. Oh, I don't know.
no, that was the 70s, and then Empire Strikes Back came out in like 80, I believe.
Yeah,
But
I don't remember it. Sorry, I was like a baby or not
and
alive or
then what
something.
was Return of the Jedi? Was that 83 or 2 or I can't
If
remember.
you say so. I don't know. I don't know the exact years they came out. I mean, I'm sure you saw them all in the theaters, so.
I was born in 77 when The New
Oh.
Hope came out. Actually, I might be a little younger than The New Hope by a few months. But
I'm sure your father brought you to the theater and
I do remember one time I hadn't seen The Empire Strikes Back yet, but I remember we were going somewhere in the car. We had to go through this toll booth, and the guard who was in the toll booth, or I don't know if he's a security guard or what, but he had his TV. He had a TV in there. He was watching Empire Strikes Back on it.
and you
I
remember
was like,
that.
I do remember that. I was like trying to watch it as much as I could. I was like, wait, don't go yet.
The first one
It
I
might have been Return
saw,
of the Jedi. I
I
can't remember.
remember as a little kid. It was not any of the main movies. It was the one with the Ewoks
Oh, you're
and
talking about the
uh,
two. They had two Ewok movies. They had
um
what
not
are they called? I
not
have them.
not the Christmas special. I don't
No,
know.
no,
I honestly can't remember
Ewok
it though.
specials. There was
I can't remember it
a
exactly.
Caravan of Courage or something. I think was the
Yeah.
second one, and I can't remember the first one.
I
But the
on
first one
I honestly
was
can't
about like this
remember, but
ship that crashed, whatever. And there was this little girl that made friends with Wicket.
maybe that was the one I saw. I don't know.
And the second one, Caravan of Courage, I think introduced the Night Sisters because there was a witch, a Force witch.
I was like 10 or 11 or something. I don't remember exactly. But that's what I actually saw before any of the movie. I saw the Ewok thing and I thought it was cool. That's all I know. I don't remember. Anyways, back to I'm sorry. That's my fault. I'm going off on tangents. So, I guess what we're saying, maybe just to kind of conclude here, what we're saying is if it gets in the way of a good story, it doesn't matter and most people should realize that you don't use such a thing as a reference for reality unless they specifically, say that or it's, or hear from a
Like
critic or a
Glory
reviewer.
or whatever.
Yeah, unless you hear from someone that it is extremely accurate. Okay, here was the thing. Our good friend, well, because Jack doesn't care. Jack and I were in the car. I'm not going to say who the other person is, but he was trying to we're talking about the movie Troy, right? And the guy was trying to tell
You know,
us,
what's funny. I was
oh,
gonna throw out the random name of Agamemnon,
well,
who
well,
was who was at the Battle of Troy, King Agamemnon.
well, here was the thing though. Here was the thing though.
That's funny.
He brought it up as if it was like a historical thing, and we're like, dude, it's based on a poem but from
The
Homer.
Odyssey.
Yeah, the Odyssey. That's not a historical thing. They think that maybe Troy existed, but this guy was talking about it like it was a historical movie, and we're like, you're such a dumbass. We're like, that's not a real. And obviously, we're talking about the Brad Pitt, you know, came out
Yeah,
in the early
that
2000s. Brad Pitt and Eric Bana, and
I think I
uh,
have that one.
it's a really good movie. I love the
I
movie,
liked it.
but
I
yeah,
liked it.
it's a good movie. It's just
Um,
not. There's
But
nothing
I
about Troy
I
that's historical though. It's a
I
poem.
think story wise, I think I prefer the older. I think it was a miniseries Odyssey, the Odyssey,
Oh,
where you follow this whatever.
lost you there for a second. Tom, we lost you there.
Sorry, no, what? So the Odyssey followed Odysseus, right? Was that
Well,
his name?
uh, geez, I don't know all their names to be. I know the common
But
Achilles and
I just
Paris. I don't
remember
know.
I was so proud of myself for learning and remembering the name King Agamemnon and
Yeah,
being able to say
that's a
it.
tough. That is a tough name to
So,
say. King Agamemnon.
but
Anyways,
yeah, I'd be curious to watch the old. I think it was a '60s movie, the Jason and the Argonauts. I don't think I've ever seen that one, but
I think I've seen it like a few times. It's pretty cool, and I think they use claymation as how they do like the
yeah,
things
stop
for
motion,
stop motion.
claymation,
Yeah.
whatever. Hmm.
So that part, yeah, there's definitely some things, but that's the thing to keep in mind though. You're watching these movies, everything with at least a grain of salt, maybe a shaker of salt even, because so, you're gonna get movies that have, inaccuracies that are so blatant and obvious that if you try to pass them
Maybe
off
a bag of
as
salt.
well, yeah, and on a fresh wound too. Um, but that's like the thing though. Yeah, keep in mind, and if you're going to, school or college, well, everyone's using AI now anyway to write their papers. But if you weren't going to use AI to write your papers, don't base them on movie. Maybe you should write with AI in that case if you're gonna.
I only write I write my own papers.
Yeah, people. I mean,
I I
I am
I
totally
I
against what's going on
mainly
with
I
that, but yeah.
mainly what I've been using AI for is for optimization on some of the videos and stuff I've been posting.
Yeah.
Because it knows a lot more about like how to what hashtags or whatever
I
are
mean,
searchable or that the algorithm looks for, and I don't understand that kind of stuff.
well, and
So
AI can
that's
be
another.
fun too. AI can be fun, but
It
again,
is.
it's just like a tool though to
It makes me
use.
feel
Don't
good about the stuff that I did.
well, yeah, because it's a
That's it.
compliment. It's a
That's a
compliment machine.
that's
Yeah.
that's a great idea. That's fantastic. This is wonderful.
Now
And
let me
yeah, well,
now let me
I
give you
remember
bullet points
I,
with things in it.
back in like the mid 2000s, um, excuse me, shortly after I had gotten my recording equipment. I think I got my recording equipment in 2003, and then after I got married, I signed up in 2006. I signed up for this organization that does song evaluations. They you would It was called Nashville Songwriters Association International, and they were nonprofit, but you would pay to have them evaluate 6 songs, and they had professional people in the industry like producers, songwriters, whatever. And so I sent in 6 songs, and then they'd give me reviews, and a lot of them. Well, they were into this whole like they had a formula that they were pushing, and one person's book about how to write songs, and they were always pushing that. They're like, "You should read this book. He's one of our people." And what so I felt that it was a little bit of a not necessarily a
Bias.
scam per
A
se, but
bias.
bias.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were like follow a formula and like at least half or more of the stories I've read about bands that have like say the Beatles, they had no clue what they were doing when they started writing songs and stuff like that. They just kind of felt, started writing something.
Mm.
They're like, oh, this feels right, and then it turned out they were right. You know, that and there are people who write college level theses on the Beatles' music and how it's structured and stuff. I actually read one once or part of one, and it's like real, it's amazing. Like just, anyways. But so I had gotten some negative reviews on like say like my lyrics because I'm not a really strong lyricist. My music's pretty good, I think. Um, but anyways, I took one of those songs that I got torn apart on and put that into the AI, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. You don't have to worry about the formula. Nobody cares about that." And I was like, I mean, some people care about it. I'm not a rock star right
Yeah.
now,
I
so
mean, I mean, I don't
like,
just ask what do you use? Like Chat GPT? Is that what you use or What do you?
No, I've been using Gemini like on my
Gemini,
phone.
Gemini. So Google. So Google's AI
Or
solution.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I use Chat GPT, though I want to get rid of it soon. I'm gonna switch to either Venice or Claude. It's just because there's too many guardrails in place. I am sick and tired of putting things in there and asking it to do stuff and having it not say, "Oh, I can't do that," because blah 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 blah. It's like Jesus Christ, I
But my
fucking I
life
pay
depends on it. I'm gonna be fired if I
no,
don't.
no, but I pay $20 a month for it. It should not be telling me it can't do. I'm not even asking. It's not like I'm asking it like how to make crack or something. I mean, it's not even like something like you would think that they would be like a guard. Like if I just ask it for like a fictional like idea on something, it'll be like, I can't talk about that. It's too gory and violent. I'm like, what are you talking about? No,
Mhm.
I'm paying you $20 a month to come up with this shit, and you can't fucking do it. But all
Mhm.
right, anyways, all right, anyways. So what we're
So
saying
historical
is, yeah,
accuracy, yeah.
don't let it stand in the way of a good story. Let's say that if you have a good story and it's just loosely based on history, that's completely fine. Especially in film and in movies and things like that, that's completely fine. Just don't make claims that is historically accurate when it's really not. I mean,
Or get mad that it's not. Braveheart, very historically inaccurate in a lot of ways, but we still love the movie,
great.
right? Am I
It's a
fair to say
yeah,
that? Yeah.
it's a great movie. I believe so. Mel Gibson stars in it, and I think he also directs it too, right? He's also the director, I think.
Yeah, I
I
believe
think
he's the
so.
director. I
Yeah.
remember rereading something earlier today about it where they were talking about like some of the costumes and stuff like that and why they went with kilts, which came like what 300 years later.
And then the
And
woad. They also had the woad paint on the blue paint, but that came like way
this
earlier,
was like
hundreds of years
like a
earlier.
thousand
So
years
neither,
earlier
yeah,
or
neither
hundred
one of
years
them,
earlier.
yeah, neither the action during the actual time. So we're switching. So just to be clear here for everyone, we are switching topics now. We're switching over to the movie
We're gonna,
Braveheart.
we're gonna do our rating first.
Oh yes, of course, of course. Before I forget. All right, what do you think?
I can drink it.
Okay,
It's not my first choice,
okay, but we know you're
but
not a beer guy. You're also, just to be clear, you're a wine guy and a
yeah,
whiskey
yeah,
guy.
wine and liquor.
We
So I'd probably give it like a 2.75.
really, that's probably the lowest rating you've ever given anything. Well, except for that other Michelob Golden Draft, you gave like a
There's
one.
there's
That was the
that
only
one,
one
and
you
then
went
there
lower.
was another one I think that I didn't like at all.
All right,
Another beer or whatever. But
I'm gonna give it slightly higher to 1776. No, I'm just kidding. Boston Tea Party, motherfuckers. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Actually, so really quick. So Chappelle Show, the comedy show in the early 2000s, they did. It wasn't Sam Adams. They did uh, Samuel L. Jackson. They said the Samuel L. Jackson beer, and he's like, "That's right, motherfucker."
Alan, really, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Anyway, yeah, it was the Samuel L. Jackson
You
beer.
gotta love Dave Chappelle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made fun of. Yeah, he made a Sam Adams the same. The Samuel L. Jackson. He's like, when you just want to get fucked up, you know. Anyways, I'd give this. I'm gonna give this like a 3.25. I'm gonna go slightly higher than you. I think it's good. Um, like I said, it doesn't taste like a lager. So if you're expecting like a lager, like a light kind of beer more, it's not. It doesn't taste at all. It kind of tastes like a stout. There's like a creaminess at first, and then
I'm
that.
almost done with mine.
Yeah, well, this is my second one. The aftertaste though does exist, and it tastes like it's like a
Yeah.
burnt. It's like a burnt flavor.
It's
It's only
it's
that's
not
how
as
I'd best describe it.
it's not as bad now as like the second drink I had, where I mentioned that
Yeah.
aftertaste. It's kind of gone away a little bit,
Okay.
but
Well,
I
that's good.
still
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm gonna have another one of these tonight or not.
that's
But
okay. Drink what you wish.
I
We're
have
not.
another ale I'm gonna switch to
Hey,
probably here.
un,
I'll
un,
bring it
un,
on camera in a minute.
hey, until these companies start paying us, they can just accept the fact that we're only going to have a taste of something, and then we may move on to something else that we would prefer. So, you know what? Until they start paying us, fuck them. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, no, I like it. 3.25. I'd say it's a little bit above average. I would say it's, again, it doesn't taste like a lager. If you're expecting a lager going into this, you're not going to get a lager. It tastes a little bit like a stout, like a creamy kind of stout, but then it kind of switches like that after it's like burnt. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like a burnt kind of flavor. I don't know. That's what I'm getting out of it anyways. I don't know. But anyways, all right. That's where we're at with the beer. So now we're going to move on to Braveheart. Came out in 1995. It
I was a
was
junior. Oh
I
wait, I
I
no, no, that
was
wasn't my
I
senior year.
was
I
I was
graduated in
still
95,
I
96.
was still in middle school. Oh, I remember too. I'm not going to say who. I had a family member and I were watching the movie and they had the and I don't think there's any spoil, honestly after all this time has passed, we're not going to worry about spoilers. When Marin got killed, they like had to like walk away from the movie because they couldn't handle like that's not
Refresh my memory. Who was Marin? I
his
just watched
wife.
it this morning.
Remember
I have
his
a hard
his
time.
wife,
Oh,
Marin?
okay,
Yeah, his
yeah,
wife.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
So
hard time
so the
keeping up with
scene where
the
she
stuff.
like got her throat cut, he
Yeah,
my
that was
family
hard.
member watched it and he just had to get up and walk away because it's not like your traditional movie, especially at the time
Oh,
in the mid 90s.
yeah,
The movie has so many points in it that are very like you say the feel we would say the feels now, but back then it's just like these are emotional like touch points or
yeah.
touch moments
Well,
that really like
yeah,
get your feelings going. But that was like one of them. Like that's not known in like traditional movies. You never have like
yeah.
the main character just get killed. um I would
Did
say
they? Do you remember? I'm trying to remember now. I seem to think that part of the reason it was so moving, whatever, was like I think it wasn't like just super quiet when he just the when the
oh
monarch
yeah,
just went up, cut her throat. I
like
don't
it
think
was
they had
like
any music or anything. It was just quiet and matter of fact. He just
yeah, Matt.
walked
That's what I
up.
was gonna say.
It,
Matter of fact, just like
it was a
perfunctory.
casual thing.
Yeah. He was just like he's just killing another peasant. Like no big deal, right?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that feeling too. Now, another thing too that now they'd been under the rule of Britain for like 100 or over 100 years at that time. Is that right? And so that kind
Yeah.
of stuff had been going on for that. But at least that's what they said in the movie.
An attack on the king's men is an attack on the king himself. That's what he said. Anyways.
So now, one thing I'd like to point out, they right before that, uh, King Longshanks had put into practice in the
Oh, prima
movie
noct.
prima nocta, which was the
It's a,
practice where when somebody got married, that
yeah.
their monarch got to sleep with the bride on their first night.
Yeah, it means in
And
Latin it means
in
it
the
just means first night is what yeah, in Latin prima noctis
and
is
in the
first night.
movie, uh, uh, in that scene where King Longshanks, said, "Hey, let's do that." He would the quote from the movie was, "The problem with Scotland is it's full of Scots," and then he goes on to say, like, "Let's breed them
Yeah,
out."
if we can't
So
fight them, then let's breed them out. And he says, and taxes, what did he say? Taxes or not, that should attract exactly the kind of lords that we need.
yeah.
So they,
So now about prima nocta, according to this information here, the film's inciting incident. It's a law allowing English lords to sleep with Scottish brides on their wedding night, and it has no historical evidence of ever existing
no.
in Britain. Historians believe it was a literary trope used to make villains look more barbaric. So that's the
Yeah.
first thing where, it King Longshanks, in something I was reading earlier, is one of the strongest villains in any movie, just because he's super smart and he's super like
Manipulative
mean
and
and
yeah,
cruel and
he's
manipulative,
ruthless.
and
Yeah, he's and even
like there's
even
like
like with his
scene
own son.
where
Yeah, where he throws Philip, the
well,
military advisor, out the window.
oh yeah,
Is that
well no, there's that. There's also the scene where they're on the battlefield and his troops are fighting the
oh,
Scots,
yep.
and he has his archers fire on them, hitting both his men and the Scots, and he's like, I don't care. We've got extra reinforcements
He's like begging
or
your
what?
begging your pardon, my lord. Won't we be hitting our troops? And he's like, yes, but we'll hit theirs as well, and we have reserves. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was.
yeah.
But
I'm sorry.
so
I can quote parts of the movie. I've seen the movie so many times. Unfortunately, better or for
it's
worse.
been a long time since I've seen it.
I
So
can.
and then I watched it this morning, and I probably shouldn't have done this. I was kind of half playing on my phone a little bit,
Oh, okay.
but so I
Yeah,
might have missed a couple of things. But no.
it's a great
So
movie. Yeah.
the
I mean,
Marine,
there's
what's her
that
name? Marine, the
Marin.
wife,
Marin. Yeah, I think
Marin.
her name is
Marin.
Marin. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know the
I
actress's name, but yeah.
I just I remember I had forgotten that basically they got married in secret
Yep.
because the dad said he wouldn't let William Wallace,
Court
court his
her.
daughter
Well,
until
but also
he
because
proved.
he said William Wallace said I didn't when the princess said, remember if you the later scene with the princess or queen or whatever she's supposed to be, she was like, oh, I heard you have suffered, your woman was killed, and he's like, my wife. And he's like, I wouldn't, we had to marry in secret because I didn't want to share her with the English lord. Because you do see that
Mm,
scene where oh god, he's from Sons of
that
Anarchy. He
the
has
other
the big
guy.
scar. He's classic because
Yeah,
he's known because that's a real life, like real deal, like that
I
actor
forgot about
had
that.
he had
I
a
didn't think
knife.
about that.
He really was nice. He almost died. He really was slashed across his face with in like a real like violence like situation. But he plays the young man who married she had like red hair. I don't know what her name was either. But anyways, they got
I
married and
kind of
then
like I kind of liked that scene at the wedding when they come for
mhm,
the prima nocta
yeah.
and like they have a sword to his throat and like there's like what 4 or 5 guys
Yeah,
around
and she
him and
comes
stuff
over
and
and pushes the
she's yeah
she
I
pushes
just
the blade away.
how gentle she was and how as a strong female character she was able to basically um, calm everybody
Mhm.
down with a simple
Yeah.
touch, and her poise
Willingness
and
to
stuff.
just go, yeah, to just go with them. Yeah.
And I, I mean, at the same time, I'm like cringing at the fact that she's going to be sleeping with another guy and what she's going to have to deal with.
Well,
And that,
let's be clear though. It's rape. Even coercion is still
yeah,
a form of rape.
it's still
You
rape.
can't go
Yeah.
coerce
So,
someone to sleep with you, and just because she's going willingly, that's not because she's going willingly.
uh,
She's going because she doesn't want to see her husband get killed,
yeah.
and she wants.
I think for me, it was more how they kind of filmed that and presented her character. I mean, she did speak to her husband, but I don't think you ever
Yeah,
heard her say
yeah.
anything,
You could
and it
guess
was
though.
all
Yeah.
done visually. Um,
Well, yeah. Another great scene with almost no dialogue, and this is how I felt, Tom, about Between You and Me. That was the scene at the end of the Battle of Falkirk. William Wallace rides off after the king to try to assassinate him or one of his lords, and the guy turns around and you find out it's Robert the Bruce, and they speak so
yeah,
much with just their eyes. Like there's no dialogue,
yeah,
but
no,
the betrayal in his
yes,
face, he's just like,
uh,
and it just how and like the giving, like that moment where William Wallace just gives up and he just lays down because he sees all the other soldiers running over to go kill him. He just gives up, and then Robert the Bruce, the same thing. And I don't know the name of the actor. He is a Scottish actor. I know that. I don't. He was. Oh yeah, he was in God, the one with Christian Bale, and he has all the powers. Remember they burn all the. Oh, what's the name of that movie? You know what I'm talking about. Christian Bale.
Terminator Salvation,
No. Before that.
Batman.
No.
No, I'm
Before
kidding.
the one where he can do the geometry and they do have the gun kata.
Granada?
Remember the gun? He's like
Gattaca? Was it Gattaca?
no. He wasn't in that. Christian Bale wasn't in that. That was Ethan Hawke and whoever else. No. Oh
Oh,
God, we're
I'm
again we're gonna
thinking of
get
the
rude.
movie you're talking about.
It's like It's not Trinity. Uh, Jesus Christ. Please Google it. Christian Bale Nose gun kata. Look that up really quick.
It's okay. I'm right.
Yeah, look.
I was about to sip my ale.
Okay, one task because I'm not allowed to do it. You have to do it. It's Christian Bale and gun kata. What was the name of the movie?
Christian Bale Gunkata movie.
What is it?
Well, it's just Rain of Fire. No, that
No,
wasn't
no,
Christian Bale.
no, no, no. It's not Rain.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. That's it. Equilibrium. That guy, that Scottish actor who played Robert the Bruce, he is the evil guy. He is the main bad guy in Equilibrium. Anyways,
That's been so long since I've seen that
but
movie.
anyways, yeah,
But
it's the same guy. Um,
and you were talking about like the silence,
oh yeah,
and
how it
then
speaks volumes.
as the king's soldiers are coming, there was another one of William Wallace's guys
The
came up
Irish
on a
guy,
horse,
yeah, Stephen,
and
Stephen the
the
Irishman.
Bruce,
Yeah,
starts yelling, "Get him out of here!"
yeah,
Like his tension and just like that. It was so. I was watching the whole movie. I was thinking, these the acting in the movie. I couldn't find anything to criticize. Now I'm not really much of a critic, per se, as
yeah.
like with my knowledge or background,
Well, they
but
speak so
but
much
I
with just the
yeah.
with their eyes and their body, like their body language and the facial expressions, like the
And then when they
non.
start yelling or talking, that just makes that moment even
No.
stronger. I
Now,
think.
now, Tom, I have to admit to you, I felt the same. I felt the same sense of betrayal when I heard that you were making shorts on your own channel. I was just like, I felt like I was just gonna lay down on the
Yeah,
ground and die.
I have
Just kidding.
produced content for
You,
my channel.
you,
I
you've
haven't. So
betrayed me. Just like,
I haven't posted anything since like. I mean, I posted a couple random videos here and there. Like in like 2021, I think I posted a video of my foster Misha giving my. I had a pit bull puppy named Maverick. I'd just given him a bath, and I'd brought him out. I'd dried him off, whatever, and I brought him out to the living room. And then Misha started giving him another bath. I'm like,
yeah.
did I miss a spot or something? What the, So I posted that mainly so I could share it on Facebook for the foster,
Well,
like as a cute thing to kind of help promote getting Misha adopted at the time.
anyways, I just wanted to let you know that I felt that same sense of betrayal.
If you want some puppy
I'm just
videos, we
kidding.
can post them
No, no,
on
I
your
don't.
channel as
I don't.
shorts.
I don't.
Those puppy videos
No,
I posted over the
no.
weekend, the shorts are doing really well.
I don't want to
Puppy video.
sell. I don't want to sell out any more than I already have.
Hey, I sold
Just
out.
kidding.
I'm like telling,
I
I'm
don't.
like sharing my whole self on my channel is my
No,
music, the
I had
video
to.
games with kids.
I
I've
had to
got
bribe.
some
I had to bribe someone to subscribe. Well, I'll tell you about that later. I didn't really bribe them. Anyways, I had someone who
give me
wanted
20
to.
bucks.
No, they wanted to exchange
Say
subscribers.
hi to
That was fun.
say hi to Susie. You want to come up here, Susie? You want to come up here? You want to say
Yeah.
hi? Come on up.
Anyways, um, well,
You coming? I
no,
might get another.
no.
I don't know.
Susie feels betrayed too. I'm just kidding. Anyways,
Susie had her
anyways,
own video that did really well.
she still feels betrayed.
Her own short.
Anyways, no. So that was a great moment, and I'd say like other great moments, like the execution scene. I
Yeah.
mean, where he's going
Oh, I
through all
want to talk
that.
about that.
Oh, you do. Okay.
So, in the movie, this is where they toned it way down.
Oh, I'm
It
sure.
was like PG-13 compared to what happened. So, now this part, if you're as a viewer, if you're a little like queasy around like that, like brutal deaths, you might want to skip ahead, a minute or two. But
Well, we're not going to
anyway,
show it, but yeah, we're not showing
so
anything.
what they no, we're not, but like describing it
Uh,
sometimes too, somebody might get triggered. But so what they did to William Wallace, I'm trying to remember. I read this earlier today. Was so first off, they did hang him. And what they would do is they would string him up, and hang him, and then when they were getting close to dying or passing out, they would cut him down, so they would be conscious to feel the pain of the rest of the stuff.
sure.
Um, and then I might be missing a couple details, but then the executioner would cut his private parts off, and then they did the disemboweling, and then they chopped his head off, and then they tarred it and put it on a spike and put it on London Bridge, and they quartered his body and sent it off
To
to
each of the
like those four
gates.
different.
Yeah, each of the gates
Yeah,
of London. Yeah.
or
Um,
no, it's just I think it was like
was
Scotland.
it?
I don't because I
Well,
thought they said Edinburgh or whatever had gotten a
is that where it
piece.
happened? I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I
I
don't
can't,
remember that part.
I'd have to double check, but I lost that excuse me, information, so I'm kind of going off memory.
That's fine. That's
Um,
what you should do.
but yeah, so they, but I mean, even still, as PG-13 as it was compared to what happened,
That movie's rated
uh,
R though. I think. I'm pretty sure.
no, no, but I
Oh,
mean, they said like
oh,
the scene, the execution scene and torture scene was basically PG-13 compared to what happened. The other thing that I had a hard time with, and this I think is you happens in pretty much every culture over if you look throughout history where the people were cheering at the execution
oh,
and when
sure,
things were happening, and then of course at the end of the um, uh, right before they kill him, um, the guy, the priest or whatever, the noble person, whatever, says, just cry, just say mercy and we can end this or whatever. And then the
sure,
crowd starts chanting mercy, and they went from cheering everything on to wanting mercy. But what I wanted to mention though is, I mean, they were cheering and going crazy and heck enjoying and having fun. And and you look throughout history, we had like arenas where people would fight to the death or be torn apart by lions or whatever. In like Rome, I think Greece probably had that kind of stuff, and then and
I think it was mostly Rome.
nowadays we
Yeah,
have like dog fights. I mean, that's still I think an issue. Uh,
yeah.
and
Just ask Michael Vick. He
yeah,
went to prison
and
for it.
who else was another football player recently? I think
Oh,
that
really?
past couple years, but
Well,
no, so I struggle with that part of humanity. The fact that people
are bloodthirsty.
do that.
They cry for
Yeah.
blood. They want to see pain and suffering, and
And
I don't
I was
know.
talking to
That's
my
a
boss earlier today. I had a one-on-one, and I was mentioning my kids for New Year's Eve or for Christmas I had gotten them a box of Hot Ones hot sauce. And Hot Ones is that show on YouTube where they
sure. Yeah,
interview
Yeah,
celebrities, and they try the mild up to the hottest hot sauces on chicken wings. And they had me try the hottest one. And I was joking with my boss. He's like, "Yeah, people like to watch people suffer," because I had gotten some pretty decent views
sure.
on that video, and especially the short that I did for it. But and I was like, so then I had just watched Braveheart this morning. I had just been thinking about that, and so we got talking about that. And so it's still a thing. I mean, people like to watch people suffer. I mean,
Yeah,
why was
that's.
Jackass show so successful?
I mean, I think they're making a new Jackass too, but
Are they?
yeah, there's a new one coming out. Anyways, well, kind of back to Braveheart here a little bit. The other things too, like historical inaccuracies here, like even the major premise, like as you were talking about the execution scene, mercy, and what does he yell? He yells out freedom, not mercy.
Yeah.
So,
Which,
but
by the way, they
that
said
was a
that he
thing.
wouldn't have been able to say
Say
anything.
probably
His body
not.
wouldn't have shock, and his mind was like probably all messed up from all the pain. He couldn't think straight.
Well, there's even a more fundamental issue with maybe the
Yeah,
entire movie and the thing is this. William Wallace was not born a peasant. He was a knight. He wasn't like high class like nobility, but he was not a peasant either. The thing is, at the time, classism was definitely a thing. They definitely had the three main things, which are, the peasants, nobility, and the clergy, which is common in feudalism. The thing is this, he was still for feudalism. He was still for serfdom. He never was for freedom for the peasants. That concept, in any way, shape, or form, was not present during that time. They couldn't even consider it back then because they had so many other steps to get to the point where they would even consider giving peasants their freedom. It was never about that. They were always going to have a king. Like even if it wasn't the English king, they would have had a Scottish king who
Oh, yeah, he
happened to be
wanted
Robert the
the
Bruce.
Bruce to be the king,
Well,
right?
he did, but the thing was like that whole idea of peasants owning their own land. No, no, they were serfs. They thought the serfs were basically slaves. They were part of. They came with the land. When a lord was given like lands from like their king or whatever, that whole the whole idea of feudalism was so common back then. So here's the thing: the idea of like an American or even European like sense of freedom, like or that all people deserved freedom or anything like any idea like that never would have existed back then. And that's not what William Wallace wanted. That's not what Robert the Bruce wanted. They wanted to stay in power. They were already in power. They wanted to stay in power. They would have continued to. No peasants had any ideas that they were ever going to like be free because of something that whole the whole idea of like equality, under the law or anything like that wouldn't have existed. Also, the Magna Carta didn't come out until, well, God, it was much later. But even the Magna Carta was not. It was the first step, like it was a very necessary step, but it still took centuries before we developed like the modern like idea of equality. You know what I mean? Like actually, and if
Mm-hmm.
you look at it even just like American, like our own history, I mean, even 100 years ago, you know, well, maybe a little bit under 100 years ago. I mean, women couldn't vote until the 20s or 30s or whatever it was. Women couldn't own property. They couldn't have their own bank accounts even until like the 60s or 70s, or the struggle of African Americans or any other. I mean,
And
because
that,
these things are all modern, like these are all modern ideas. So that's maybe the biggest.
yeah,
I would say that's the biggest fallacy of Braveheart, is that it introduces ideas that took like were maybe 1,000 years later still had not fully developed.
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I think that King Longshanks in the movie was pretty progressive because he allowed the princess to come into the council
well,
on behalf of his son.
if what did he say? He said, "If my son, if my son wants his queen to rule, then by all means she should learn how." Right,
Yeah.
or whatever he said. Yeah.
Which,
Sorry.
by the way, I would like to point that out. Apparently, I didn't know this until today when I was researching some of this stuff. What was her name? Princess.
I don't know. I don't remember.
She, in reality, historically, she was only 3 years old at the time, and in France.
Yeah, it
So
was.
that whole story between her and William Wallace never happened. Also, the movie is about William Wallace, and it's called Braveheart. And I
Oh
read
yeah.
earlier
The
today
worst
that
part about it.
the Braveheart was actually Robert the Bruce, who I think it was after, yeah, it was after William Wallace died. I think he was on his deathbed, and he asked one of his knights to take his heart, to cut his heart out and take it to the Holy Land. And so the story I read, which I didn't have a chance to fact check because I was had to get to work and stuff too after watching the movie, but the story that I read was that the knight took his heart in a casket, which is he was able to wear on a chain around his neck, and he was in a battle in France, and apparently the story is that he threw the casket ahead and said something like "Go on, Braveheart," or something like that, and then he charged into battle to recover the casket, and that's kind of where that story ended. I don't know that if he ever made it to the Holy Land or not, but um,
But yeah, you're right. It's the real Braveheart was Robert the Bruce.
and
Additionally,
that was the name apparently he got after
yeah,
he died.
a
So
more modern thing. It's not really an inaccuracy, but it's more of kind of a funny thing. Um, they made like a bronze statue of Mel Gibson as William Wallace and put it up in some, I don't know if it's Edinburgh or whatever, it was in some Scottish town they put it up in, and it got so defaced. Like the Scottish people were so mad about like all the things that were wrong about the movie. They also didn't really like the movie, but they were so
yeah,
mad about it that they defaced and like graffitied like the whole thing. So they actually had to put up like a fence, like a gate like around the statue to get
around
them
it.
to stop defacing it because it was so like
Uh,
it was so not popular there, and I don't think they appreciated
yeah,
that. Well, the thing is this: Mel Gibson's not even he's not American. He's Australian. I mean,
yeah,
he's not
yeah.
not that that means honestly. I actually, you know, despite his DUIs that he had, I know he had some legal troubles.
Drunk
It's
videos or whatever. Yeah, he's
yeah,
gone past.
but I think he's gone past it. I actually do think he's a good actor. I know, was it Lethal Weapons were like his
Oh
first?
my gosh.
Those were good
Well,
movies, I
no,
thought.
Mad Max was before
Oh,
Lethal
Mad
Weapon.
Max was. I think he's had some really good movies though, and actually, I don't think people, based on Braveheart especially, like just some of the acting that he did, like some of the scenes in there, they were so good that you can't fake that. I mean, well, it's all fake, obviously, it's acting, but you know what I mean. Like you can't just fake that kind of acting and just he's not just some action hero who has no skills in any other
No.
way. He definitely can act within a range of very, and I think Braveheart really showed that. I do.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know The Patriot came out about 5 years later in 2000.
I
That
wanted to get back to that,
Oh, you wanted to get
but
back?
go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I was just gonna say one other thing. Um, what was I gonna say? Whew. You blew me out of the water, Tom. I
So
can't.
you were talking about his ability to act.
Yeah, that's not what I. Oh,
The
I wanted
actor
to. Oh, I wanted to
can't fake
bring up. Oh, the other thing that was. This isn't an accuracy. Well, like you said, the daughter was only 3 years old, but the idea
it.
that he slept with the queen and that William Wallace's child became the English king at some was
Oh yeah,
so
that was
that was
something that they
completely
pointed out.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was bullshit. I that was
that was cool for the story. And as the king is unable to say anything,
oh yeah, she whispers
he's
it in his ear.
dying, knowing that his heir isn't his
Isn't
heir.
going to be
It's
his.
William Wallace's heir.
Well,
But in the
yeah,
movie.
and there was some
Now,
anger. Well, one other thing too, really quick, there was some anger from the homosexual community at the time too, because the prince was so effeminate, like so over the top gay, like not. You know what I mean? Like he was such an
there's a
effeminate and
stereotype.
weak. Yeah, he was an effeminate and weak like person. Though he presumably Philip, the military advisor, presumably that was his lover or whatever was going on, and then
They really
Edward
played
threw him out
that
the
up.
window.
They made that up. But that was another thing. They did all of that with visuals. They
Mm.
didn't show them sleeping together. They
Exactly.
didn't show them making eyes at each other, like at, was
The
it the
wedding,
wed
the
a
wedding,
wedding
yeah, the
or a
wedding,
wedding
and
and
remember that little kiss he just gave her, like a little, like just a little, poop,
yeah.
like on the cheek, like it was like no big deal, and it's like, oh my god. Anyways,
And then they made the comment about him having to put a baby in her. Well, they didn't say it that way.
oh,
But or
that
no,
Edward would have to do the honors himself. Yeah,
yeah.
if his son was not going to be able to do it, that Edward the Longshanks would have to do the honors himself. In fact, that might have been what he was thinking about the entire time. That's what they said. I don't know, more or less what they said. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go continue with what you were gonna say.
So your friend had complained
My
about
friend.
when you were watching The Patriot,
Oh yeah. The historical friend.
the
Yep.
historical.
Let's just say his name's Matt because his name is Matt,
Okay,
but I don't think anyone's gonna
all right,
know
well,
who he is.
Matt, whatever.
His name's Matt.
So he complained about like the uniforms being inaccurate or whatever, and I think we mentioned like they didn't wear kilts until 300 years
Oh yeah.
later. Um,
And they didn't
but
wear
they
woad until like 600 years before that.
Yeah.
It's
So,
just a
but they
weird.
chose to do that because, well, a lot of people in the world associate Scotland with like kilts.
Yeah.
So that's a visual cue. Also, and made when you were looking at the battles, they were very distinct from the British soldiers. Now, in reality, what I guess they typically wore was like a long shirt, and then they would have chainmail over it. And what I read was that they looked a lot like the knights in Monty Python's The Holy Grail, which would have been a lot harder to distinguish between them. Also, the kilts and stuff gave them a little more. They were a little more gritty. they were dirty and all that kind of stuff. And the movie was very wet looking, which I guess was an inspiration for movies following it, like the Lord of the Rings movies and other movies that kind of are set
Yeah.
in like kind of that sort of a setting. But so there was that, and then the face paint was
Woad. Yeah, the blue, specifically the blue face paint. It's called woad. But that
so
happened centuries before. It's just kind of funny that it was just a weird mix of like something that happened way before it and then something that happened way after it, and it's like, oh, and they're doing both. You're right though. It does make them stick out more, which is easier in a movie to determine. I would say probably at the time, they didn't, no one really had like uniforms except for like, like knights and like more like maybe professional soldiers. They didn't, like, peasants didn't have uniforms, and they still were called to fight if they, if their lord called, they had to go. Um, so there's probably a lot of confusion at times, maybe, especially if like whoever was fighting was close, if they were close by, that probably was a thing. Um, God, what else was I gonna say? And I can't remember any of it, Tom. Um, I would just say though, it doesn't really, as we talked about in our first topic. You know what? It was a good story, and as we kind of we went over it a few times too. They didn't. The thing was, whoever the writers were, and I'm sure Mel Gibson had some control and was involved in the conversations about it, but they used nonverbal, like just their eyes or their body
mhm.
language or just looks, like their facial expressions. They used lots of nonverbal communication in that movie
Yeah.
to devastating effect, to great effect. That's why that movie, I think it won some kind of award. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
As I recall, it was
I don't
well, I mean, it was
I
highly
don't
regarded by critics and stuff at the time. It
yeah.
was a 3 hour movie. That was very uncommon
Oh
back
yeah, that's
then.
another
It's
thing.
still kind of uncommon now, but
And that's why,
now with
to celebrate that, Tom, that is why tonight we are going for 3 hours. I'm just kidding. No, we're not. No, we're
you know what?
not. That is why
Right
tonight, in
now,
honor of
right now,
Braveheart, we
uh, well, no, no, it's going to be longer than that because right now we're going to start a reaction video to everything.
to
Because I want to
everything,
go back and
to
rewatch
everything.
it for the sound design and pay attention to that.
The sound design.
uh,
It
how
it
they
was
use
great.
like music and silence and stuff. I just felt like
It had a
everything.
great soundtrack though. Just even when they
Yeah,
did have music, like the revenge scene when he goes back, after Marin is killed and he goes back and kills everyone there. That revenge scene was awesome with the music. This whole soundtrack. I mean, honestly, I can't think of any point in the movie where the soundtrack was not both appropriate and definitely added to the scene. Like it definitely, like, and I don't know
yeah.
who did the. It wasn't Danny Elfman, I don't think, but we always say
No,
Danny Elfman. I don't think Danny Elfman did the music for that movie, and I don't think it was Howard Shore either. But regardless of who it was really really
but it
good.
was directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah, they got Tim Burton in there. Yeah, and then he had to include Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was somewhere in
Yeah,
there too. We had to throw him
and
in.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
And
and Mike.
Michael
Oh, and
Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Yeah, that's right. His other favorites. They always work together. So
Did you
Um,
did you did you see Jack from the Nightmare Before Christmas? He was in there too. Jack the
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
skeleton guy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I've seen the movie. Yeah, yeah. No, that was a good movie. But anyway, yeah, just
Paul
Braveheart.
Rubens.
So,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. But let me just think if there's anything else about Braveheart I wanted to talk about. We covered. I mean, I thought they did a really good job. Like the him growing up. I mean, I liked how his uncle came, Argus or Argyle came and took him after his father and brother were
Yeah,
killed. I like
that
that part.
I really liked him. In another person's hands, he might have been a dick uncle.
Yeah, but no, he was. Yeah, no, he made
But
sense, and he's like, before you learn to use this, You've got to learn to
Yeah,
use this.
I was just going to mention that because he let William hold his sword when he was a
Yeah.
kid, and that kid was a fantastic actor
Yeah,
too.
I thought so. Yeah.
In a lot of movies, like him and the young his young bride, the young version of his bride, whatever her name is, they were
Marin. Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Marin,
Well, and they had the
but
plot
no, they
device of the remember the thistle stained
yeah,
cloth?
yep, yep,
Yep.
yep. But what I wanted to mention was, so the uncle let William hold his sword, and that's when he said, before I teach you to use this,
You've
you
got
need
to
to learn to
learn to
use
use
this.
this. Yeah, and
Yeah,
he tapped him. Yeah. Yeah,
but
Uncle Argyle. Yeah, and no, now he's talking about. He's like, oh, so you saw the funeral. He's like, did the priest give a poetic benediction? And he's like, oh, I don't know. You're speaking Latin. And he's like, you don't speak Latin. And he's like, we're gonna have to remedy that.
and then when he comes back in as an
Yeah. Oh
adult,
yeah, and he's
he
a
speaks
jackass.
languages.
Yeah. He's like what? She's like I can't read, and he's like, would you like to learn? And she's like, oh, you're gonna impress me, and he's like, what language? And then
Yeah.
she's like, why don't you stand
Now,
on your head and fart or something? I don't remember what she said. But
I do like how they. So no, that was a setup for a later payoff when he first meets the princess,
oh
and
yeah,
her advisor starts speaking to her in like French or whatever about, hey, this guy's just a, he's
barbarian.
just
Yeah.
a barbarian or whatever. And then William responds back in French. I don't remember what he said.
I am a
What did he?
barbarian. He says, I am a barbarian, and I will blah 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 blah. I don't remember,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I was like, fuck. I mean, god dang it, that
that
was
was a good
good.
setup. Yeah. Though,
But
here's a little misnomer though too. At the time, and even like today, for instance, in Europe, it is common to know more than one language. It's not, and even
it
back
is.
then they couldn't read or write. Like they were illiterate, like the peasants were illiterate, but they usually could speak more than one language. Also, another thing too, there's a dead language from France and England. It's called Occitan. Occitan, we don't speak it at all anymore. Like it's a completely dead language, but it existed. It was actually at the time it was a popular language in France and they spoke it in England too. But Occitan went away. But again, yeah, the peasants were
Yeah,
illiterate. They couldn't read or write for the most part.
yeah,
Even priests, like they could speak Latin. They couldn't necessarily like read the Bible though, like by themselves. But they could speak more than one language usually.
yeah.
That was common.
Well,
I mean,
I experienced that for myself. So, like, I can speak English, Pig Latin, and I'm okay with Spanish.
Spanish. How
Okay
how
with it.
how okay with
Now,
it would be my question.
well, I used to be about intermediate, but I haven't really used it in like
Okay.
25, 26 years, so I've forgotten a lot. But I did a mission trip to Guatemala in 2000 for 3 months, and part of the what I had paid for was 3 weeks of what they call immersion training. We went to a school called La Academia de Español or whatever. Anyways, it was Academy of Spanish, whatever. Anyways, the way it worked was we were in a large room and I sat at a table and I had a teacher on the other side of the table from me. They might have spoken a few words of English, but otherwise they just spoke Spanish. Before that, I had had Spanish, for like 3 years or 2.5 years in high school, and I took a couple semesters in college. I could ask for directions to the bathroom, but I didn't understand the directions. So,
El Bano?
but no,
El Bano?
Banyo.
Bano. Sorry. Well,
Anyways,
don't I'm
uh,
not the one
so
claiming to know Spanish. I just a
so
little bit,
anyways,
little bit.
I sat across the table, it was really good way to learn, and it helped that I had the foundation
Sure.
of the stuff that I had in high school and college, so that helped me get learn faster. But I remember there were these two German people. There's a guy and a gal. We met them later. That they were doctors from Germany, and but I remember hearing the Gunther was the guy's name, struggling, and he had a thick German accent when he spoke Spanish. And I was like, I feel so sorry for him. And then I met him and found out this was the sixth fucking language he was learning, and he was fluent in the other five, yeah, including like Latin. Which I guess in European schools, like Latin is a required language for them to learn. Or it was,
Well,
when they were like what do they
well,
call it? Like they're like kids, and
well,
and then they can teach other
all
languages.
Catholic people have to know. So,
Yeah,
well, all Catholic priests need to more or less be literate in it, but anyone who's Catholic, their services are in
but
Catholic, so they, you know,
I was very humbled when I found out this was the sixth language he was learning. And I was like,
that slacker.
I'm I'm okay at English. I'm learning Spanish. I'm like maybe intermediate. I could speak and dream in Spanish. I could think in Spanish, but I didn't understand a lot of like expressions and stuff.
Sure.
And then I jokingly threw in Pig Latin, but it's like,
Well, I mean, that was one of the sad things about my trip to Minnesota last year was that you didn't come to meet Lorelli because you could have. She's totally fluent in Spanish. You could have
yeah, I
spoken to her
wanted
in
to.
Spanish. She's totally no. She actually she actually learned Spanish before English. She was born here. Lorelli was born. She's actually never left the United States. She's never been to any other country. But she learned Spanish first and actually had to go in middle school or whatever. She had to go into ESL to learn English. But now,
Yeah,
but like now she is. I have to look at the door, make sure she's not there. She wouldn't. She wouldn't care if I told this story. It wouldn't matter anyways. But she just now like today she is way more comfortable in English and she thinks in English now. She doesn't, So she's
one
totally
one
fluent in it
thing
though, in
one thing I
Spanish.
learned when I was in Guatemala was I don't know what the age uh, is separation age, but like kids up to a certain age, if they learn more than one language, the languages are equally on both sides of their brain. Now, as they get older, there's a certain point, like adults, if you learn English first, you're growing up and you speak English, and then you learn Spanish.
Yeah,
English gets pushed to one side, Spanish gets pushed to the other side. And so you have to actually, when somebody starts speaking Spanish, you have to stop and switch over before
sure.
you can actually understand them. Somebody younger learns it on both sides. They don't have to do that switch.
No.
So
And that's
um,
probably how it went for her. Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
think I think I was a little bit. So I mean, I learned a little bit of Spanish in high school and college, and so there's a little, but I still find myself when somebody starts speaking Spanish, I have to stop and switch. So, but we're way off topic.
yeah, just languages. Anyways, yeah. Back in
But
those
yeah,
days,
William Wallace
people knew
was
different
I,
languages. Yeah.
I don't know if that's historically accurate that he knew six, but
William Wallace, doubtful. Again, he wasn't just a peasant; he was like a knight already. But I don't know. I brought up
that,
Occitan just because that was one of the common languages back then that they did know. But I
that
don't
does
know.
kind of make sense with the feel, like him not being a peasant,
Yeah.
because his uncle took him on.
Well, that's a
What
good
do they call
question. On the he went to Jerusalem. Uh he went to Jerusalem, so I know he went on what pilgrimage. I mean, I don't know what you'd call it, but
pilgrimage? Is that what they called it in the movie?
I
I'm trying
don't
to
I
remember
don't
what they
remember about
called
it
it.
in the movie. I know that
He was talking great
he went
about it.
he went to several places. He sounded like a worldly person who had like a world traveler who had at that time, he'd probably been to a few different places throughout Europe. And it sounds like Jerusalem was one of those places, but I don't know for sure. Or in Rome or whatever. Like now, Rome, they were the
I
real barbarians.
could be your own fact checker on this. Get on that.
I am. I got everything up here. Because
Look,
I listen
I don't. I'm not sure.
because I listened to Uncle Argyle and he said before you learn to use this you gotta learn to use this, but then learned to use this
You
and
know
I
what?
never learned anything else. So
I listened to Father. He's like, you know what? He says I'm getting out of this, but you're fucked.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
I got my own island.
Yeah,
Well, they got Irish coming with the army. Like, don't worry about them.
yeah, yeah. An
I,
Irishman is forced to find his equal from being with the Almighty. Yeah, whatever. It was Stephen, the Irishman, but he was like, yeah,
I,
an Irishman is forced to find his equal with the Almighty. That's why I converse directly with him. He was conversing directly with him. He's like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'll ask him, Father. He said, if I follow you, do I get to kill Englishmen? And he's like, yes. And he's like, ah, excellent. I am
Well, there's a little
Stephen.
bit of an interaction
Yeah,
between
yeah.
those two things, like with like swords and knives drawn and
Well, yeah,
whatever.
because
And
he snuck a blade in.
oh yeah, well that's
Yeah,
right because they said when he came into the camp, they're like they made a comment about like no weapons,
yeah.
and and then he made the comment. He's like, uh, what kind? How did he say it? It's like how good how good are your men if I was able to sneak a blade past them? But that movie has so many good lines,
It
and I
does.
love that guy. What I was thinking of though was when they when Longshanks that whole fight with Longshanks when he was there. He's like send the Irish in first because the Irish had come to fight with him, and and then that guy, what's his name, had said, "Don't worry about them," and
Yeah.
they all like were like charging each other on the battlefield, and they get like 10 feet away, and they stop, and they start hugging and stuff, and he's like, "See, I told you I have my own island,"
Yeah.
or no, he's like, "The island is mine," or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know,
my island.
but
Yeah.
but
So, anyways, I guess I would just kind of say here, yeah, if you have not seen Braveheart, go see it.
watch
It's a
it.
great movie. Tell us what you think. So yeah,
Find out more.
if you liked what you've seen tonight, subscribe. You know, if you want to like, dislike, go ahead. If you want to comment, comment however you'd like. If you want to share it, feel free to do that too. We definitely are open. If there's something you want to see us drink, give us the idea. If there's some other movie or some other topic that you want us to discuss, tell us. We are open to it. Um, and that's kind of where we're gonna sort of leave at here. Any other thoughts, Tom, before we
Yeah, if you
end
think
this?
I'm a sellout for posting puppy videos or shorts on my channel,
Comment on that
uh,
on this
leave
video.
a comment, send us an email at we don't give two shits at gmail.com. No, I'm kidding.
But
Everybody loves puppy videos.
I
But
I don't. Don't.
and my channel is my journey, Mike. I'm
All
posting
right.
my.
All right. You
But
enjoy
anyways,
your
no,
journey.
this is part of my journey here too. I'm always thankful and grateful to be able to be here with you, Mike. And
Even though you betrayed me in the worst way.
you know what? We are going to meet in person and
We did.
recreate the Bruce and William Wallace
Oh yeah.
betrayal.
Yep. And I'm just gonna lay down and be like, ah.
And then I'm going to be yelling, "Get him out of here! Get him out of here!"
But all right, you know, just everyone. We hope you like what you've seen, and I guess that's all we have. So have a great night.
Night.